Hello everybody, my name is Paul and welcome back to another, like, I still don't know what to call this. A group review? No, not that. That implies that I'm doing this with multiple people. A collection review, I guess, or a series of reviews. I don't know. Basically speaking, if you have watched my previous, video, which is the reviews like maybe a few days ago or just yesterday, depending on when I'm going to upload this one. Yeah, so for this time, we are going to be reviewing, episodes 6, 7, and 8 for Miraculous Ladybug Season 5. Now, if you did not watch my review for episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right here, my icon, you know the drill. Of course, containing major spoilers. Watch the show if you really want to. If you don't care about spoilers, you can just watch this video, but if you do, go watch my reviews first just to get it caught up, if God can speak. Okay, so again, if you don't care about spoilers, you can go watch the reviews first so you have a bit of understanding of what's going on, because season 5 for Miraculous Ladybug compared to every other season is very much more consistent in terms of storytelling. That means the story is actually in a consistent timeline with episodes actually bouncing off from each other, unlike being episodic as it was before, which is actually a really good change of pace. Now, again, if you don't care about spoilers, you can just, watch the reviews that I did. But if you do, go watch the original. You can find it anywhere, basically, and of course, you can find it for free if you actually know where to look. Now, this is the second out of possibly the 3 videos that I'm going to be doing, and there is a reason why I'm doing 3 of these group videos. Because again, this whole week that you've seen this on, of course, basically the last video as well, Miraculous Week, and I'm planning on only doing 3 videos, hopefully. Now, with that out of the way, and it's actually about the same amount of time as last intro, so without further ado, this is my Miraculous review for Season 5, Episodes 6, 7, and 8. And these get very interesting by the minute, so here we go. Episode 6, Determination. And no, I will not do the joke. That joke's been overdone. But this one is maybe one of the more surprising ones, at least to me. Surprising in terms of our Adrian. And this season has been focusing on Adrian more than how Season 4 was. So this is going to be interesting. Tiny bit. Again, I am only going to be talking about these as little as I can, so I can just speed up the process. But this one, again, has a lot of talk about, so maybe it'll be 15 minutes instead of the 30 minutes that I usually do for like an episode by itself, hopefully. I don't know. So we basically start off the episode with basically Adrian waiting outside for possibly fencing class, as you all know. And basically he's waiting for Kagami because, Kagami is still going to, fencing classes, of course. Yes, she has been returned to Japan once or twice, but so at some point she will come back to do some fencing classes. It's been a while since we saw Kagami, and the person that Kagami got dropped off with is basically Marinette. And I know I basically said I will not play clips, but as long as I don't have the sound up, it'll be fine. And Marinette, for basically, again, for the longest time in the series, has her hair down, and I think this is the second time in the actual timeline that she does have her hair down. Oh god. Here's the thing, a lot of people, I don't think, talk about a lot for how Marinette looks with hair down, and to be honest, it's just mesmerizing. I can see why Adrian would like her. Also, if you really must know, this is the actual episode where Adrian actually fell in love with Marinette, or at least understands the feeling of being in love, which honestly, it's finally time that he does. But technically speaking, you can give him the benefit of the doubt that it's been like 4 seasons, but he has been like such been isolated from society for so long that he doesn't know. But then again, he is in love with Ladybug before, so you think he knows, but we'll slide that aside. And then Marinette just drives off. There's no explanation why she had let her hair down this time. It was just there for show, maybe just for Adrian, to see. Of course, Kagami looked, and you already know where this is going. After this, they're in the Kagami and Adrian are in the locker room, and Kagami asks Adrian, like, how does he feel about Marinette? Adrian kind of feels like, she's just a friend, right? But she has like this way of making him feel strange and stuff like that. And no, stop it. It's not that. It's basically just that tingly feeling, but not that type of tingly feeling. It's like the heartache or something like that. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, how do you explain it? So yeah, he's basically in love, but he just denies it, kind of. Kagami just like kind of just pushes him on and tries to tell Adrian to ask Marinette on a date. And of course, I'm going to skip that scene because, we're keeping it short. But for this part, Adrian invited Marinette to go to the museum for the date. The reason why is, well, I think I'll show you this scene. Yeah, you remember this scene? Because I really do. And I think a lot of fans would know. This is maybe one of Marinette's creepier moments. But there's a stark, weird statement that Adrian says, is that at this moment in time, this episode is actually the point where Adrian says that his feelings for Marinette actually change. And it's the same feeling that you saw right now. It was just like that slight change, and then it kind of grew into a love type of thing. It is creepy when you first think of it, but it's not exactly that creepy because, in all honesty, he was just kind of shocked. And again, at this moment in time, he did hear Marinette's confession. It was just clouded on being confirmed. The reason why is because Marinette keeps denying it and makes a lot of excuses about it. That's why Adrian's feelings were not really in the right place at that point, and just like, oh, okay, that was just weird. To the point of now he's actually thinking of this and does she actually mean it? Because he already knows Marinette a bit too well that sometimes she doesn't mean what she says, but sometimes she kind of does. It's confusing, and you can put your own spin on it or something like that, but in all honesty, I don't know why this is the actual moment where Adrian's feelings change for Marinette. It's his feelings. He didn't say that he fell in love with Marinette. The moment he fell in love with Marinette is actually in this episode. Not that episode. I hope you understand. Because that will be very creepy and disturbing for Adrian. But then again, he has that little thing for superheroes, so in the earlier series, so I mean, of course, going back a little bit, Marinette at this point was on the Julika's ship this whole time, basically just to hang out and possibly warm up the band because remember they have a band. Now Marinette did accept this, except she's afraid of being alone with Adrian. She doesn't want to again be near Adrian because she'll always mess up, and the sight and the knowing that when she's in love, she's blind to it and she makes mistakes. She recognizes it. It's just she's trying to fight for it. She's trying to fight hard against it, and of course, it's not the healthy way to do it, but she's trying, of course. And people who say she's perfect, I mean, she's not. She's literally not. But what's kind of the weird thing is on this date is hey, Luca, can you just go with me? Luca's fine with it, but he just understands that Marinette just needs to be alone. So he just basically, his plan, right, is just to just walk Marinette over to the museum, and that's about it. Also, if you're wondering, Adrian did ask Kagami to help him get to the museum as well because he doesn't want to be alone as well. But that, of course, Kagami kind of just it was a forced thing. And again, I'll just let you know, this is not the point where Marinette, Luca, and Adrian and Kagami are out together again. No, they're just there as friends. And But then we have that little interaction later in the episode where they actually meet each other. Adrian did ask Marinette about, like, so what so are you and Luca together again? And Marinette's like, yes, but then also no. She changed the subject really quickly. It's more like he's just a friend who's just here to hang out with, and he's gonna accompany me to the museum with you. It's like, oh, okay. So like he's just a tiny bit like upset, but also understanding. Also, Kagami just kind of gives a little snark remark on like, so you feeling jealous, Adrian? So yeah, Adrian, maybe feeling jealousy for the first time, possibly. And I'm gonna skip a bit more, but what you just need to know about throughout this, I guess this technically speaking, you can call it the A plot because this is the main focus, but you can also call it the B plot if you're just focusing on the action. So action perspective, yeah, this is the B plot, and it's a little funny and a little embarrassing too, but just a little funny. And Adrian with the help of Kagami actually realized how much he likes Marinette. Of course, Kagami did get a little cooperation with Luca just to bring this point across, because Marinette has her feelings like kind of confirmed at this point. It's just now Adrian's turn, and thank God for that. So yeah, I just gotta let you know that at the end of this episode, while Marinette is trying to avoid Adrian mostly, Adrian at this point now wants to like try to confess his love to Marinette now. Except Marinette's like, you know, still the hard to get type of girl in his mind or something like that, or like the actions kind of relate to that. I don't know what I'm actually trying to say about that, but hopefully you know what I mean. I'm bad with my words sometimes, so just interesting. So the main focus as the villain for this episode is basically the hero section of the museum to represent these wax statues, which represent the heroes, right? These will be unveiled and basically would represent hope basically to the people. But of course, the mayor didn't really want this to happen because, first off, it's Chloe. It's mostly Chloe's fault because Chloe says to his dad, the mayor, to shut it down because there's no queen bee. Chloe always ruins things, you know, and then the mayor has to follow it. I know that baby at this point, like Chloe, like her dad should be like be more resistant to Chloe's demands, but of course, you know, with the mother being gone somewhere, I really don't know. He doesn't have that much protection, so I mean, like he's still kind of growing, but I feel like he was only that strong because he knows that his wife's there. Chloe's a menace in the family, just to let you know. So yeah, basically this whole scene is basically these two, and the museum owner, the one in red, she's the one who's gonna get akumatized. Basically, she becomes, honestly, I would say Wax Master, but honestly, I don't know. I forgot the villain name for this one because it's not that memorable, but it's not exactly that clever either. I think it's just a random name, and I don't know if it's just Wax. The Wax. I forgot what I just said too. The name is kind of forgettable in my opinion, but the powers is actually pretty impressive. That in this one, she can bring the statues back to life using the pamphlets, the museum pamphlets as talisman to bring the wax statues to life. And of course, the miraculous power that she got is the one from the ox, which makes her invincible, basically. Yes, the ox power just makes you invincible. That's really it. And there is no limit to the invincibility. You are just invincible to basically any damage. And of course, later, I will just should say right now, towards the end of this episode, Cat Noir used Cataclysm. She pulled Cat Noir in just to prove a point. Cat Noir was a little scared, so a little reference of fear there from episodes 3 and 4. But basically, yeah, proves that, you know, she is invincible. They do defeat her later, by using a bowling ball and some of the items in the mayor's house office thing. They get back to the fight came back to the mayor because she wants to speak to the mayor about this. And yeah, defeated by a bowling ball, a ladder, and a bookcase. And of course, yeah, that's how they kind of won. That's all I would say. The fight is a bit interesting, and I'll say more about that later. But of course, Chloe, even though she's an asshole, she actually spits facts that if Marinette didn't just not choose her by that time of need, she wouldn't really change evil, and maybe possibly none of this would have happened. Still, I think it would still happen, just much later down the line of the series. But then again, you can never know. I just want to say that the amount of wax statues getting dismembered and getting their limbs cut off and their heads cut off too, if these wax models were actually like real people, this episode would have been like very bloody and very graphic. Like the imagery, even though these are wax statues, the imagery of these like body parts just like, you know, falling on the floor and stuff like that. It's just very graphic in a way. Just imagine some guts and bloods just like spilling out in that. That this show. This is a good thing these are wax statues. Otherwise, this episode is truly not for kids. It should have been like on Adult Swim or something. Oh yeah. One last thing. Marinette actually finally feels that she is actually still truly in love with Adrian, and that Adrian actually confessing to her in a very slight way that she actually already knows. She cries because this actually conflicts her with her mission and stuff like that. Basically, her internal goals of not trying to fall in love as a superhero is just kind of failing right now. In all honesty, this is actually maybe a lot more character growth for Marinette. She's not the same girl as her from like season 1 and 2 and 3, basically. Like not the lovey-dovey stalker type of girl anymore. She actually kind of now feels like a natural, genuine, like normal person, which, considering what you will, maybe she's not exactly. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I don't know if you would notice too. And I also, again, don't know if I noticed this from the past few episodes, but there is a lot of referencing towards the main theme song sequence in these few episodes. There's a lot of referencing. Like Marinette would just reference that she's a normal girl living a normal life, but then it changed the end because it kind of like relevant to that part. It's mostly just Marinette, but like I found that pretty interesting. They actually use like lines from the theme song, which is actually pretty nice. Of course, it's the shortened version of it, the one that the show used, but I mean, like, it's very interesting. Well, finally, I can now talk about the next episode because, again, maybe if I just stay on this episode too much, I'll still think about the wax statues. Episode 7, Passion. And I'm just gonna let you guys know, just a little, just like from the previous like show review. I do apologize for any background noise there. I really don't know what the hell just happened. My dad didn't really like turn on any loud music. It's actually my mom this time, which to be honest, I'm a little upset because she usually isn't the one to put out loud music, but she did. I don't know why. Either way, episode 7, Passion. Honestly, I don't have that much to say about this one. Maybe. Considering about the love plot in this one, I don't find this that intriguing. More so, Marinette realized that she cannot exactly be in love with Adrian. So, what I think actually right here is happening is that she's trying to deny from Alia that she doesn't want Adrian to try to pursue her, just leave alone, try to make the ways how it was beforehand, like when they're all just normal. If that's in quotation marks, because I think she also means that they're not including the her loving Adrian part. Maybe. I really don't know. And then we cut up to Adrian. We see him just kind of sad, like let's brush his teeth, and so let this play out. First off, that is a very adorable picture of a face of Marinette, really. But yeah, this whole time he cannot stop thinking about Marinette. He calls out Marinette's name like a lot. Even Plague is just kind of weirded out by this. I mean, I can't blame Adrian, but at the same time, I mean, like, looking back, it is a little creepy. I think it's only creepy since because Plague is just there. You should just keep it for yourself, you know? But, yeah, I don't really want to talk that much about it. It's just because this is just a weird episode. But there is an interesting thing about Adrian. Besides him calling out Marinette's name, like, a lot, we still had the consistency of actually, you know, Gabriel being very nice to Adrian, cooking him breakfast. And also, Gabriel's dad just asking him, what would you like your pancakes to have? What type of fruit, you know? Adrian says like, okay, I'll just have the fruit and stuff. Of course, later, Natalie walks into the room. Now, Natalie walked into the kitchen because she might know something. But, Adrian wasn't in bed because she was usually there to wake him up. And basically, she knows the second place. Natalie is just kind of, you know, upset that, you know, Gabriel didn't know that Adrian doesn't like fruit on his pancakes. But, like, Adrian's like, oh, don't worry, Natalie. I was just distracted. Yes, he is distracted. But, of course, what's the weird thing is that Natalie at this point is just, like, having a suspicion on Gabriel and why is he doing this. Now, here's the thing. Natalie, if you don't remember, actually kind of broke her alliance with Gabriel for the time being because of the selfishness that Gabriel didn't save his wife or her with the power of time, just wanted to get the power of the miraculous. And yeah, we all know how that went, huh? So afterwards, Gabriel tries to conjure up an excuse and basically say that him and Natalie are just very close. This makes Adrian happy that basically now they can be like a family. Of course. Thanks to, you know, Natalie having a ring, and Adrian's like, oh, okay, my suspicions are safe. Of course, when Adrian leaves, and then Natalie just takes Gabriel's hand and just like pins him to the table, and like, oh god. And it's like, yeah, pretty much true. She's just very sus on Gabriel Gress. Now I know that maybe the framing of the model of her body is gonna make her head a little big, but I mean, like, honestly, if this was 2D, it makes sense. There's only a limitation of what you can do with the 3D. But I think like people can actually kind of fix this possibly. I don't know. Gabriel is trying to deny every little suspicion. But of course, we already know where this is going. I will not say much for the sake of this review. I mean, I would say more if it was just a single type of review. But like, yeah, I'm not going to say much. So just watch it. I don't think there's any clips on this one, so I might do it. But try to search for it if you want more context. Or at least just watch the episode. This episode is actually a really good watch, honestly. Because it actually explains a bit more on the impact on how Adrian's mom actually impacts the family here, basically. Quote-unquote family, you know. And okay, so just a little quick here. This scene of Adrian is trying to figure out how to send Marinette his love and stuff like that, how to decorate it, like declare it. The declaration of that. And I'm gonna ask Natalie for obvious reasons. So Natalie's in her room. She actually scrolls through her phone that she actually kept in a safe. This phone is from Lily. I think the name of Gabriel's wife is Lily. I really don't remember, but I think it is. Either way, the wife of Gabriel, right? The phone's in the safe and she opens it to find out the hidden message. And basically, this was all prepared. She knew that Gabriel would actually go and try to bring her back any way he can. And she doesn't really want to. In fact, she just wants to stay dead and wants Gabriel to move on. I know this will sound morbid, but it's like one of those things like, the person is like one of those tropes where like the person you love wants you to live your life to the fullest and like don't get stuck in the past, move on, you know, and stuff like that. And while Gabriel did do that to an extent, he kind of did it all still for her. And that's the thing. That was basically Natalie's mission, just to try to get Gabriel to move on, basically. Of course, she didn't do that like maybe at season 3. Yeah, she didn't really do that in season 3. But I would only assume that it was technically Natalie's slight level of love for Gabriel that she actually follows with Gabriel's plan. And of course she wants to see Lily again. I'm calling her Lily this time because I don't know her actual name. I'm thinking it's Lily because Lily seems like a nice name, you know. But yeah, that was just basically it. And now her mission is just to now go to fully try to get Gabriel away from the path he's walking through. And then yeah, she knows that she kind of failed, of course, but yeah. So at this point, Natalie is just crying because she feels defeated. And then Adrian does walk into Natalie's room and actually asks her about like a girl relationship problem. Like he wants to ask this girl out, but like he doesn't know how to. Or like he wants to confess his love to this girl, but he doesn't know how to. Basically the same thing, but like also not. So, but Natalie coughed. Adrian got like concerned, and he doesn't want the same thing happen to Natalie like what happened to his mother. So it seems like we have more context that Adrian does know the sickness of what happens in that specific scene, you know, that specific series of events where, like, you know, once Lily got the peacock marks before, it was broken, so she got sick. And it seems like Natalie is actually following the same path as Lily had. And Adrian's just concerned. And he doesn't know how he would help, basically. Retransition later, Gabriel beforehand was basically feeling defeated, right? Because Natalie kind of talks sense to him. But Natalie basically, seemingly, goes back to Gabriel's side. However, I would say right now, just to get this out of the way, she does have a plan to double cross him. That her plan is to retrieve all the Miraculous, so that and make them and keep them for hiding. She's not going to use the Miraculous, at least that's what we think. But yeah, she is basically doing this to stop Gabriel for, you know, not try to follow anymore. Just take all the Miraculous and just hide them. That's about it. Okay. I am taking a little bit long for this, but that's basically what it is. So Natalie does get akumatized being Safari with the power of actually having her shots always hit their intended target. So basically she's a person who can shoot a target that she desires and it will always hit, never misses, and that's about it. I should also state that she does have the power of the illusion as well. So basically she makes an illusion of, well, a villain. But here's how her power just acts. Also, this is the villain that she actually makes an illusion of, you know. Also, that arrow will just follow anywhere, you know, basically. I would actually just say the gimmick for this episode right about now. And it is, that's right, Mr. Bug and Lady Noir are back. And to be honest, I still love both of their designs, honestly. Especially Lady Noir's. The comparison to what they had before, they're a bit less muscular than they were before in like season 3, where they actually did this for the first time. It's a very good thing to see them return to these. Also, if you're wondering how they switched, don't worry, they hide each other. They used their Kwamis to actually switch the Miraculous around, basically. They kept from each other hiding. Also, the power that Natalie also has is also pollen, and it's basically like dust from Ruby. So basically, she can use that arrow that she has, just target them and freeze them. She freezed Ladybug before, so Cat Noir kind of have to carry her to safety, basically, and de-transform. Because the arrow is only targeting Cat Noir, apparently, which I don't know why. So after this, the arrows that Safari is trying to shoot cannot find the intended target because it's not 100% match, you know, and all that stuff. Also, this whole time, considering what happened before, yeah, Ladybug, it was, and also as Lady Noir, just kind of keeps flirting with, you know, the man bug, Mr. Bug, also known as Cat Noir. She's kind of a little flirty with that, and she becomes more flirty. It's like super flirty as Lady Noir. Even like Lady Noir notices that how super flirty she is, and multiple times in this episode she says like, "What's happening to me?" But the thing is that Mr. Bug has like a lot of things to say on this one. I'm gonna find the scene right now so I can just show you a screenshot. So this is one of the moments for Cat Noir / Mr. Bug here. His thing is that even though you cannot do anything to help, the best way that you can help in the moment is just be there for them. And that, I mean, it's a message that I don't think a lot of shows actually say. I mean, some shows do, but they don't really explicitly say it out loud, just either show it for a few seconds. This one explicitly tells you, and this kind of reminds me that yes, the most of a thing that a person can do if they can't help in any other way is just be there for them. You don't need to do anything special. You just need to be there for them. And oh boy, how true that should have been in the real world, but unfortunately, maybe that's not really the case, you know. But it is a very good lesson. And to be honest, this felt like a My Hero lesson rather than a lesson for anywhere else that I think instead of the show, because this lesson doesn't really feel like it should belong in the show. But I mean, season 5 is a changing point for the series, so it makes sense that they would do different lessons at this point. After this, Natalie does actually, when they save Natalie, after this she does actually follow the words that she should just be there, and the person who needs to be there right now is Adrian, basically. Of course, that's not without the fact that she still, you know, she kind of still just kind of stick around. Again, I know it's a kind of a lot, but like, yeah, sticks around with Gabriel a lot. But maybe it's just for that little ploy, of course. Also, if you're wondering how Gabriel got here, don't worry. This is actually the part where like Mr. Bug brought Natalie back, and like Gabriel is just pretending to be worried, but maybe he's also worried about, you know, Natalie. Who can say? We do also have a very super sweet bonding moment with Adrian and Natalie. Natalie assures that she's alright and glad that Adrian is here to keep her company. And of course, she'll help Adrian solve that little girl problem. Episode 8 Reunion. Now, I'm going to say right now, I do apologize if my mic actually peaked a bit back there in the last section, because the thing is my mic apparently is not actually like taking the correct frequencies, so my voice might be a little bit louder than before. I hope it's nothing too bad. I just kind of, you know, stopped recording and make sure everything was alright, because for these sections I'm technically just not really doing this in all one take. So yeah, either way, episode 8 Reunion. This one is a tiny bit of a little break, but this does actually gets a little bit more involved with the love story, or at least the love plot between Marinette and Cat Noir, basically. As I think, if I remember correctly, episode 3 or 4, It's either 3 or 4. No, episode 5 is definitely episode 5 that this whole thing kind of started about the concept of this type of ship and for like Marinette and Cat Noir, and it is kind of going through. But in this one, I'm just going to say right now, the main plot, the main focus supposedly is basically just, are there any Cat Noirs and Ladybugs of the past that actually fell in love? And the answer is quite yes, according to Tiki. So basically, we're just at the museum again, and this is where the most of the episode will be taking place. They did ask Tiki if there was, and Tiki said yes, but she doesn't have that much recollection, and she cannot really say it straight because, again, Kwamis do not know the concept of love, which is contradicting again to most what the other previous season are saying about Kwamis and love, but I mean, it's an on and off thing. So basically, Tiki says is that the little stone that she gave Marinette from I think it was season 2. I believe either season 2 or 3 that Marinette got the little stone from Tiki. It's basically the anniversary, as you would say, the anniversary of Marinette being Ladybug, and Tiki basically created this little gem by spitting in her hand after doing a little dance. And yeah, it's disgusting, I know, but it did happen. It was disgusting, and finally that thing had a purpose. So the true purpose of that little stone, I forgot the name of it, honestly. It's never been mentioned a few times. It was only mentioned once, and then again here in this episode. That other one's time, the first time it was introduced, either was season 2 or 3. It was either one of those two, basically. Basically, that little stone that she has basically holds the power to reunite with an older Ladybug, or at least older holder of the same Miraculous. Only the person with the same Miraculous can talk to the ancestors of the past, basically. And Marinette's gonna use this to basically ask which Ladybug basically gone out with a Cat Noir in the past. And of course, Tiki says that Jean or Jean d'Arc is basically the one that she should talk to, which is the statue that you see up here. Of course, it did kind of fail because Marinette tried to basically reach for the statue, maybe touch the face of it maybe, but then she fell and then she knocked down that painting in the back, behind Aya. I don't know if that's the Mona Lisa painting, at least a mock copy, a reference towards it. I really don't know. But that painting did have an old letter, and we'll come to realize that this old letter that you see here was from Alex. And no, it's not the future Alex. It's actually the present Alex. The present Alex, the little one. Which is nice to see. This letter holds postcards and her adventures in the past. And if you're wondering if this affects anything in the timeline, I'm assuming that the future Alex, future Bunnix, is telling her where she can actually travel and what's a safe action that would not screw up the timeline, basically. So that's what I feel, and she seems to be doing a pretty good job. As you remember, future Alex is supposed to be the one teaching the present Alex. Now, if you're wondering if future Alex appears in this episode, no, not really. It's just the present Alex, and it's actually nice to see her again and see what she's up to. But yeah, so she's technically here. And after this, they did give the letter to her father, and her father basically called her friends to read the postcards together, which is actually a really nice thing. We go back to the guest house, and Adrian got invited to basically meet up with his other friends to talk about Alex, of course. Gabriel and Natalie were agreeing with this, so they let Adrian go. However, you can tell in this scene that there is some tension between Gabriel and Natalie at this point. while they are a little bit more chummy together, it just seems like it was just only for the illusion to think that to make Adrian think that they're, okay with each other. So basically in Alex's adventures, yeah, she's been like through everywhere and basically through other tales. Now we don't know, again, this is like the Miraculous universe, so we don't know if these, so we do know that some of these tales, these stories, like the Three Musketeers, yeah, it's true, and she's basically the fourth musketeer in this one. So it kind of makes sense. And I guess that means that in this one, Bunnix, the original Bunnix, was also the, the musketeer, the fourth one. But yeah, so they basically just kept talking about it and reading Alex's stories. However, so you can see the person here on the right, basically. That person is basically Alex's brother. If you don't recognize him, he's the guy from season 1, and he only appeared like once or twice, maybe possibly 3 times later in the series beforehand, but he appears in episode 1. He's originally the Pharaoh, basically the villain, not the King of Games. But in all honesty, he is just a bit angry, and the reason why he's angry is that he believes that Ladybug Cat Noir, well, mostly Ladybug, kind of just brainwashed, quote unquote, Alex to be, just to be a hero and leave, just trying to protect the time stream and all that stuff, just for something of power and stuff like that. How he got this information? Basically, he read it from social media. So there is a kind of message of like, false rumors and stuff like that. He believes in the negative ones. He believes on the side that Ladybug is bad and stuff. And oh my god. Here's the thing. I'll not show that scene right now, but later when I forgot his name. I think his name was said in this episode too, but honestly, like, it was only mentioned once, and it's like, oh, so he's the brother of Alex. Okay. But I don't remember his name. I do think but the father did say his name. Unfortunately, that is not his real name, and it's never been brought up again, so I want to know what his true name is, but for now I'm just calling him like Alex's brother. So the brother basically went into hiding. He basically searched up his phone and he was on social media, and then he just sees all these more comments on like, oh, Ladybug's just bad, all that stuff. Of course, there's an obvious one where Chloe just like, Chloe's line of ridiculous, utterly ridiculous, but like she goes under a different name, so it might be an alternate account, who knows. This all might just be like Chloe's alternate accounts, but who knows. But other than that, yeah, I will not show that scene because, in all honesty, it's a very simple one. You might want to watch it yourself. I don't know what social media platform, but I can only assume it's Twitter. So yeah, this is before he went to like hiding, basically. He just walks out in a furious rage, or like a furious disappointment into his father, believing of, Ladybug, that she actually does this, even though there is proof, and the father does have proof. But, he doesn't really he doesn't care. So the father called the meeting short and everyone can just go home because family issues. So we go back to Marinette's plot again. Marinette actually goes back to the statue with Alia and Tiki. And now they're going to see which previous Miraculous holder they're going to choose. They're going to choose Jean. And the symbol is actually at the base of the statue. It's a good thing that she did this first, I think. I don't know how she activated this, but it's a good thing that she actually activated it when she needed. And, well, yeah. After this, the previous Miraculous holder, Jean or Jean d'Arc, has appeared. So this is Jean or Jean d'Arc for in the Miraculous universe. And yeah, most of the previous ones will always have the pattern on their, suit or something. She basically got called here, and Marinette's gonna ask her for like the love thing. Of course, Jean, according to Tiki, Jean is pretty much a hot-headed warrior type of girl, and she doesn't really like to discuss anything about love. She really just like is fond with like, you know, battles and stuff and war. Because at this moment in time, I should also remind you that Tiki did say this once, but I guess Marinette kind of forgot at the end, that the previous miraculous holders, at least using the stone, can only summon not really the dead. Now they cannot really talk to the dead, but the previous holders' memories. So this is actually the memory of that person and not the actual person. Of course. Is she helpful? Actually, yes, for a few moments. Like for the question, for the thing that's coming up soon, yes, she's useful. But other than that, besides for telling the story, she's kind of just here for basically just as a maybe a lore thing, which is nice, but kind of wish there was more from her. Also, as a memory, she's technically also has attributes of a ghost, which is just cannot interact with the physical, and that's about it. Also, one thing, Alia cannot see her, only Marinette and Tiki, because previous miraculous holders can only be seen by the miraculous holder themselves. The same one, not any different ones. Okay, I will show you the scene here, and yeah, he's just on that social media again. Later, he gets akumatized, and he becomes the Pharaoh once more. And as the Pharaoh, he has a new weapon, a book. This book is called the Book of Truth, and it will basically tell you if the person saying or any question of it or answer of a question is true or not. And yeah, it's a pretty simple one, and I don't know why. Yeah, there is a big plot hole here that he could have just asked about if the Alex thing was true or not. But then again, I guess because of his own beliefs and his own pride, he doesn't want to believe it, so he just believes it in himself, so he thinks it's already true, so he doesn't need to ask. He also has a power of a miraculous, which is the power of the turtle, which is just protection. So he protects the book, basically. If you're wondering what his new power is, he has a new power where he can summon a giant-ass pyramid, and of course each wall, a wall of books just appear in front of every entrance, and you have to answer the question correctly, and if that answer is true, you'll pass. If it's false, then you get trapped in the book. Don't worry, you're still alive, but yeah, you're just trapped in the book. So yeah. Oh yeah, so Adrian just apparently just went outside, but then all this happened, as you can see from the bodyguard from here. And yeah, that's about it. Honestly, there is almost nothing else for me to talk about because I gave you guys like literally just the main like plot. It's first the love, and then it's the truth, basically, of Alex. And yeah, sadly, there's not really that much to talk about, but yeah, that's all I could say. I gave you guys everything, and yeah, so I'll go over the ending real quick, even though technically speaking, it's like at this point in time of recording, it's been like 15 minutes, which is half of how much I would talk about like regularly for an episode if there's nothing much to talk about. But I do have a few things basically. Yeah, there is some quips and quotes. I mean quips, mostly not quotes, but quips that you know, just quips that like, you know, Jean just like questions like Ladybug's attire, and to be honest, can't really blame her. Then again, it's a new generation, so would make sense. But again, this is a memory, and of course, most memories stay in the past. You don't know anything what's currently going on in the present, basically. There is a total of, how would you say, like 3 questions that were asked here, at least maybe 4 at most. Adrian as Cat Noir answered the first one, which was the outside, which the cop kind of took a little too long to answer and would get the wrong answer anyway. There's the father. He said the son's name, but apparently the name was false. So that's not his true name. I forgot what the name was. As for Marinette's as Ladybug question, it was basically a question of the past, which Jean can actually answer. However, she kept rambling and basically telling us the history of the King Henry of that time period. But there was a specific time section, what time of a specific year that the book asks for, and for that the king never existed. Even though technically speaking, Marinette would have gotten the answer if she just let Jean finish. But yeah, it was just no king basically. So Ladybug, Captain War do meet up and they have this question. And this question is basically, what would the weather be like in this specific year? But this specific year is basically a year that's possibly like 10, 20 years into the future. And they would not know what the weather would be like because it's not a history question, it's a future question, as maybe you would say. So obviously this is where Alex came into play. So basically, Marinette will write a letter, put it somewhere, and then Alex, basically, thanks to her Miraculous, will find that letter. She'll find the letter, and of course she'll write the answer down, and then she will put that letter somewhere else. And then Marinette will know where she would actually put it at, basically. And this is what the future looks like, and it's raining. Thanks to Ladybug's suggestion, because trying to manipulate the desire of, the Pharaoh, but isn't an actual one. To know the truth, if the book can tell you the truth, just, ask the book. And then he finally, I guess, for the Pharaoh for the first time, just like, oh, you're right, I could just ask the book. Book is what Ladybug said is true. Is she the actual hero that people want to believe in, right? And stuff like that. I don't know the exact question, but you can already tell what he's trying to ask. First, is Ladybug like a very good hero, basically. And of course, did Alex actually like leave on her own accord? The book says yes, he believes, and with that resolve, he just breaks the connection to the Kuma and Monarch, and yeah, that's the end of that thing. Of course, Ladybug captures Kuma, yada yada yada, everything is fixed, and yeah, that's about it. I do have one thing to say before we end this. Jean basically was in love with the black cat from her timeline, from her time in the past. And yes, they both did actually get together. They loved each other because they realized that they were actually fighting for the same thing. Because here's the thing, the Black Knight and Jean were fighting on opposite sides for two different kingdoms. However, once they realized that they're fighting for basically the same thing, excuse me, once they realized they're fighting for the same thing, they actually kind of just worked together to stop these threats, and then they kind of fell in love with each other like further on, but the kingdoms do not like it. They're going to try to find those two and execute them. And well, you know the story from there. In order to basically live a happy life and to protect at least maybe some of the people without their powers, they just give up the Ladybug and Cat Miraculous to live a happy life. Now, did they actually stay together is the question. And Jean does not know, because again, she is a memory. And by the time that the original users basically gave up their Miraculouses, it stopped recording, basically, you could say. And yeah, that is basically the end of that story. So Marinette says, like, okay, there is a chance, but there's not a definitive answer, which is a little disappointing. I bet for some of the fandom might be also a little disappointing, but it kind of makes sense. Of course, we got back to Adrian, and he's still looking at Marinette on his phone. So yeah, a little weird. So yeah, we're just gonna leave the episode from there. And yeah, that's the end.